Helen Yee here with Eyes on the Game in Jacksonville, being joined by the one and only Mr. Rashad Holloway as Tony Ferguson's boxing coach. It's been about 3 days since the fight. What was your analysis of his performance?
Tony was not as sharp sometimes as we usually see, but Tony was active, he was busy. Justin Gaethje just fought a hell of a fight. He fought a hell of a fight. He was just able to capitalize on some of the mistakes Tony made. Tony, like I said, Tony fought Tony's fight. Tony fought Tony's fight in some significance, but at the same time, there were a lot of things that he didn't do, and I think that was due to, Justin Gaethje put on a good performance, and just is what it is some nights.
But what would you have liked to see Tony have done more?
I'm a boxing guy, so I don't really go into a lot of the other stuff. It's a lot of stuff that I don't know, so I stick to what I know. Our whole game plan was to stay on the outside, strike, stay long, moving to our right at all times. Tony did that at times. He didn't do it as much as I wanted him to at times, but Tony's Tony. Tony likes to stay engaged. Tony likes to bang, and that's what makes Tony Tony at the same time. He did a lot of that. I think I would have liked to see Tony use his feet a little bit more. Tony did some good teeps in the beginning of the fight. Like when he stayed long, he did very well at keeping Justin off balance. A lot of good leg kicks. Of course, we all would want to see Tony on the ground more. With Gaethje, more submissions, more jiu-jitsu. But at the same time, Gaethje makes it hard. You look at all Gaethje's fights. Gaethje doesn't let anyone take him on the ground. He does a good job at that. Takedown defense is pretty good, and it was Gaethje's night.
But did anything in particular from Gaethje's performance surprise you at all?
I want to say his patience. Gaethje fought the same way that we planned. Nothing with Gaethje changed as far as like his style of fighting. Like my old coach Freddie Roach used to say, fighters don't make mistakes. Fighters are creatures of habit. Like fighters do the same thing over and over because it's just who they are. It's their habits. And to me, Gaethje fought the same exact way. He was just a little more patient. Like when he hurt Tony, he didn't jump on him. Didn't jump on him right away, didn't get reckless like you saw him with Poirier, like you saw him with Eddie Alvarez. He stayed patient, he stayed calm. He let Tony bring the fight to him more instead of him rushing and attacking so much. And I think it was also kudos to his corner for being able to keep him calm and just keep the game plan. Like even you would see times like when I watched the fight on video, Gaethje wanted to kind of get a little and his coach would be like, hey, knock it off. And this is how we lost. And Gaethje would calm down, yes or no so. And I think that's a big thing. Like you got to really respect your corner and really be willing to listen to him because your corner are the eyes outside of the ring. You can't see everything you're doing in that ring. You can't see. You're just reacting. Your corner can tell you, look, this is working, that's not working. But you got to be receptive to it. You know what I mean? And I think Gaethje just did a good job at that, and so did his corner.
Now, we know that Tony was transported to the hospital immediately after the fight. How's he feeling today? Have you checked up on him?
He's good. Like any other fighter the day after. Like boxing, we used to be sore, but MMA, you all know, it's a whole nother kind of sore. You all are sore from your legs, your ribs, your arms, your elbows. Like any other fight, like he's sore. He's real sore. That's about it.
But did he sustain anything else or just the broken orbital bone?
No, he's got some lacerations on his face that required a little bit of stitches, a little sore on the leg maybe, his arms, but that's really about it.
So who would you like to see him fight next? Obviously, I don't know if you saw Conor's kind of rant yesterday, the long tweets. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. Like, it was funny. Like, Belanger Group, the agency, I actually sent a lot of the stuff to me, and people were sending it to me. Connor's Conor. Like, Conor's a showman. Like, we all know that. Yeah. Conor knows how to keep himself relevant. He knows how, I don't even know if it's Conor doing it. He said some personal stuff about Tony, but it is what it is about leaving the company, things like that. It was funny. Conor just being Conor, trying to talk himself into another payday. He thinks he's bigger than the sport, and honestly, he's the marquee name of the sport, so you can't blame him for that. He's a showman. He does what you expect, being Conor McGregor.
What kind of surprised me about that tweet was the baseball comment.
Tony's not he's never played in the minor league, so how can he get a contract? That was just some emotional stuff to get to Tony. Conor's Conor. Like, I don't really get into the whole business side of it. Like we all know, he was with Paradigm, and like I said, I wasn't there from the very beginning when the contract was signed, but to my knowledge, like, Tony wasn't aware that Conor owned part of the company. Who would? Who would know Conor owned part of a company? Like, how can Conor own a company and you fight in the same division as Conor and think that you're ever going to fight each other, But like I said, I wasn't there in the beginning. I don't know exactly what happened, but to my knowledge, he wasn't aware of that. And, That's bad business. I don't see how that could ever work anyway.
But would you like to see that matchup, Conor McGregor, Tony?
I've always wanted to see that matchup. Yeah. Conor never wanted to see it. Like, I don't know if Conor never thought Tony was a marquee name, big enough. Like, this is the reality of it. Everybody has something to say until you lose. I'm sorry. Everybody has nothing to say until you lose. Tony's been fighting the same way he fought last night. He's had off nights in other fights, but he's always able to get it done. Same mistakes he made in the fight in some people's eyes, he's been making them, whether it's his chin up, his hands down. He's been doing that. You know what I mean? It's just now that he lost, everybody has something to say. It's all the backlash that comes. Yeah, there's certain corrections that can be made and will be made, and I think he's more aware of some of those things now more than ever. And sometimes we need a loss to help wake us up. He's been on a 12-fight winning streak in the hardest division in the sport. Who else has done that? No one. Like, he's the longest in history in that division. Nobody's done that. Nobody's been signing up to fight him. Nobody wants to. Now all of a sudden his name is in everybody's mouth. But that's what it is, and that's how the game is. And honestly, maybe a good situation because he's been the boogeyman for a reason. No one signed up to fight him. Respected Justin Gaethje. That dude's a warrior and animal. I like him a lot. And, we'll see him again. And next go around it'll be different. But I think everybody has Tony's name in their mouth like, oh, okay, we got to get Tony. But listen, Justin Gaethje is a different animal. Justin Gaethje has what we talked about in the interview when I did it with Schmo. Like, you can't break Justin Gaethje mentally. He's too tough. Like, he's tough mentally, he's tough physically. Justin Gaethje and Tony are like brothers. Like to me, it's like they come from the same DNA as far as like, that's what made the fight so crazy. They both love pain. They both will risk it all in the ring. They'd be willing to die in there, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that. None of these other guys in that division have that. To me, I'm telling you right now, that same Tony that fought Justin Gaethje will walk through any of those other guys. Yeah, they may say, oh yeah, we can capitalize off those mistakes, but you can't capitalize off those mistakes under that pressure. They're not built like that. Justin Gaethje's built like that, and he was able to do that. Those other guys, they can't take that heat. They can't take that pressure, trust me. So hopefully Conor McGregor balls up, Paradigm gets it together, and they make the fight with Tony. Because Conor's not deserving of it. Look what he did against Khabib. Like, he laid down in that fight. Khabib dominated him. Dominated him striking and dominated him on the ground. So I mean, Conor really doesn't have a leg to stand on as far as other than him being a superstar of the sport and the biggest name of the sport, because he's Conor McGregor. He's done a great job in other weight divisions, but in the lightweight division, he's done nothing. He's done a great job in other divisions, and just being a guy that take the sport to a new level. I respect him for that. I respect all fighters. And he's very entertaining. I like the guy, in that aspect. But let's be real. Like, in the lightweight division, he's done nothing, and he's done nothing to deserve to go straight to Justin Gaethje, other than him just being a big name and being able to put asses in the seats. Yeah. He needs to prove himself. Why not have a Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, Khabib, winner fights the winner? Why not?
Speaking of Khabib, Justin Gaethje, how do you see that fight playing out?
It's a tough fight. Like, Khabib displays some good striking against Conor McGregor. Justin Gaethje's just on another level as far as striking. Justin Gaethje, like, he boxes well. I mean, honestly, there's nothing different about Gaethje. Like, this is what I advise all UFC fighters. There's a lot of UFC fighters that always come up with this, there's more than one way. We got angles. We can throw this shot and that shot. Listen, striking is striking. You got kickboxing, you got boxing. Now, you can do Wing Chun, whatever the other stuff is that I don't know, but the majority of UFC, MMA period, standing on the ground is striking, the majority of it. And listen, boxing trumps all of the other striking, hands down, when it comes to the hands. Like, a kickboxer does not have sharper hands than a boxer. A boxer can't have feet like a kickboxer. Kickboxers specialize in that. Like, guys that really respect and appreciate boxing, like, they look so much sharper and so much better. And I think all these guys really need to pay more attention to their striking as far as their boxing. The fundamental aspect of it, the jabs, the right hands, making sure the elbows are tucked, making sure their stance is correct, making sure they're able to throw sharp punches, keeping your hands up when the other one's, keeping your hands up when the other one's out. It's simple things that make the biggest difference, and it's the whole technical side of it. But I think Justin Gaethje has really done a good job at focusing more on the boxing and just the technical side of it, and just being a sponge. Like, when you take a guy from, I think it's Coach Trevor Whitman, I think he had him from the beginning. When you take a guy from the very beginning he's a sponge. It's easier for him to absorb things because you're teaching him your way. You're teaching him the precise way. When you take a guy that's already made, that's been with other coaches, it's kind of hard to break certain habits. So it's easier to get it in the beginning. So my advice to any UFC fighter would be, from the very beginning, take your boxing serious, because the majority of your fighting will be that. Focus on your technique. And back to that, Justin Gaethje, I think he's a lot better than Khabib. Striking-wise, he does a great job at nullifying takedowns, but at the same time, Khabib does a tremendous job like no other of getting you on the ground. So, I mean, standing up-wise, Justin Gaethje kills him. Ground-wise, nobody, I don't think Justin Gaethje poses any threat to Khabib. So it's a 50-50 fight in that aspect, and I think it's going to be good.
Yes, indeed. And lastly, obviously, Tony does deserve some time off, but as his boxing coach, when would you like to see his return?
I mean, Tony needs some time, man. Like I said, Tony's been fighting. Even though that the UFC hasn't been keeping him active, and that's not Tony's fault. The UFC needs to do a better job of keeping him active. You know, they've been kind of pushing Tony to the side for a while, and they keep. It's just not right. Tony's been the fall guy. He's been having to take these last-minute replacement guys when guys like Khabib can't make it and things like that. So, I mean, it's a lot of emotional drain too. Like even this fight, people had a lot to say. Tony didn't have to take the fight, he didn't, you know, but let's be real. When Tony didn't take fights before, he got screwed. You know, look at the Poirier fight, Poirier Max Holloway. There's no way that should have happened. You know, Tony tears his knee doing interviews at Fox, you know, and UFC strips him of an interim title, and he comes back in 4 months. You know, it's unheard of. But Khabib and Conor McGregor get into a fight. Khabib is suspended for a year. He doesn't get stripped of his title. You know, Tony had to be the fall guy and be pushed over and watch Dustin Poirier fight Khabib, and now it's like he was put in that position again. So he took that fight with Justin Gaethje because at the end of the day, his management did a good job, and Tony really wanted to fight Justin Gaethje because he was up for it. That's just who he is. But we also knew at the same time, if he didn't take that fight with Justin Gaethje, we all know that outcome. We all know what would have happened. They would have made a Justin Gaethje and somebody else the interim title fight, and Tony would have got pushed over, and that winner would have fought Khabib, and Tony would have been sitting on the sidelines again. So I think at this point, Tony needs he needs a mental break from the sport, like just to be normal and not deal with all the politics and the headaches of it. You know what I mean? And the physical part of it. I think after a couple months, you know, of resting, no working out, I think, you know, we gonna get to the gym and have some fun, just working out. Just have fun working out. You know, go to Wild Card, go box at Wild Card a bit, go to some other. Go to 10th Planet, go to some other places, you know, we can wrestle and just have fun and not really prep for a fight, but just have fun and, you know, take a break and fall in love with the sport all over again. It's a lot of pressure when you're undefeated for so long and you looked at as the marquee guy, you know what I mean? And now it's like the weight's off his shoulders and he can just be normal for a bit. But let's say he will be back, and when he comes back, the boogeyman is back. Like you're gonna see him dominate once again. Thanks to Justin Gaethje for the fight. His corner, you know, Justin Gaethje, you helped wake up a beast too as well, and you know, wish you well. You know, you did a good job, and Tony be back. I want the rematch too.